All right, comrade. Many analysts are of the view that the influence of the NNPP does not go beyond Kano and some northwest states. Has this changed?
It's assumed that because His Excellency, the former governor of Kano State, wielded and still wields a very strong following in Kano State, there is a political and mischievous attempt to try to say that it's limited to Kano State. Unfortunately, and they will find it to be so during the election, that, the worst mistake you can make as a politician is to underestimate your opponents. And it's okay for us if they want to humor themselves and try to convince themselves that that is the position. His Excellency, Engineer Musarabi Ukwankwaso has been going around this country commissioning offices in every single state of this country. And the outings there, the photographs coming out of there speak for themselves. In fact, now he's going on the road trips and he's stopping every local government before he gets to the city center. And the kind of crowd, some of us can't even move with him because of the kind of crowd and following. We're not talking about hirelings. We're used to people, we're seeing the videos and everything where they're handing them money, and even when they hand them money, they don't want to even stay till the end of the campaign. His Excellency has given to us, the candidates who came on board, a ready-made structure we call the Kwankwasia. These are people who follow through, who follow him because of the ideals he represents. They follow him without looking for money. They follow him because they believe that with what he has done, if he becomes president of this country, the kind of turnaround that we will find. And it's a kind of belief that is not, you can't fake it, And most of the candidates that have been attracted to come on board the NNPP with him are the same kind of candidates. Like attracts like, So there is the formation of solid structures that have been meticulously built over the months without making noise. And so everybody who is contesting under the NNPP platform has their solid structure, both for the state houses of assembly, the House of Representatives, the senatorial candidates, and the gubernatorial candidates. Don't forget, every politics is local. So NNPP is ready, it is poised, it is structured, it is well, established on solid foundation. And come the elections, it will resound at the polls. And those who have been just saying it because they want propaganda, because they know that our people kind of tend to say, when they feel that, somebody is not going to win, they will say, well, let me not waste my vote. Unfortunately, that's not going to work for them this time around, because the people are wiser. And the people who are the grassroots following of all the candidates under NNPP, and those who also have studied and known His Excellency, who is the presidential candidate of this party, know better than that. So unfortunately, that propaganda is already dead on arrival. NNPP is a national spread party, and we're waiting. It's just a few weeks' time to go to the polls, and that will be made obvious.
All right. So earlier in the week, your party inaugurated a 1,053-member presidential campaign council. It's just a few weeks to the elections. How much ground can the council cover?
The floor.
Comrade Gloria, earlier in the week, your party, the NNPP, inaugurated a 1,053 presidential campaign council. And of course, it's just a few weeks to the election. So I want to know how much ground can the council cover?
Campaign council has been working. I think I'm not the party's spokesperson. I believe that the party spokesperson came on board after the inauguration, and I watched that interview where he addressed that matter. The The campaign council has been on board and has been working with us, both as individual candidates in our campaigns, moving with us at the grassroots level, also moving for all of these months. If you watch the trend of NNPP, we are not just beginning to flag off. But if you want to be sincere to yourself, what we have been having has been more than flag off campaigns. When His Excellency goes round to commission offices of candidates, it has been on for several months. So the inauguration of the campaign council was a formality, as it were, and now flags are being handed over to candidates. However, the council has been in place. The members of the council are not strangers to the candidates and to the presidential candidates. And so they have been doing a lot of work, massive work. Again, I remind you, every politics is local. It's not the crowds, I was telling you about Abuja South, how we are forcing people to now make their campaigns to become about the people themselves. It's no longer about just renting crowds and going and sitting down and shouting and talking to rented crowds. We have been doing the real work with the real people, not the artificial politics. We have been connecting with the people, and the campaign council, every single member of that council has been an active participant with the party, right from when we flagged off these campaigns, and it's been consistent.
All right, let's talk about women again. Women representation in politics and governance in Nigeria is still a far cry from the 35% affirmative action agreed upon in Beijing. What do you think are those factors hindering participation of women in politics?
Women's participation is a far cry because we are not addressing the issue of women's participation as we should, unfortunately. There's a lot of noise about supporting women's participation in politics. But when it comes to the practical thing in the field, it's all rhetorics. There's no flesh to it, beginning with development partners and also those on the ground. Women's participation is two ways. They work at the party level as officials in the party, and they also come out to contest for elections. Thereafter, when we finish with the polls, there's also the issue of appointments, So when we put the cart before the horse and we start talking about 35% appointive offices, when we try to push 35% minimum for appointments, and you don't even have up to 10% in parliament to push that law, because don't forget, affirmative action is what is meant to bridge the gap, to help us to catch up. But you see how many times the bills, no matter how well packaged, were shut down at the National Assembly. We thought that by the time we got to this next electoral cycle, we would have regigged and we would have, sat down and realized that the most important thing is to actually support women in every way that we can, to see that women actually come out and contest elections and win elections and occupy elective positions, especially in parliament. Because at the end of the day, most of the things that happen in the land are about the laws of the land. Most of the policies have to do with the laws of the land, and then the parliament is what is unique about democracy. The parliament is what sustains, what makes the democratic experience what it is. So when you don't have enough women in parliament, that is why a number of us, despite what it took to emerge, you had to do all you can, just like your male counterparts, to emerge. And don't forget, it's not a joke. It's not just about rhetorics for you to say that. You have to, in every walk of life, do double, much more, and be able to excel, much more than anybody else if you want to emerge in anything as a woman. The society is structured in such a way that you are already swimming against the tide, But we have come up, we have been through so much in our professions before you get to a point where you will emerge like this, you know, and say you are standing for elective office. It behoves on us as a people, if we actually mean that we want increase in women's participation in politics, we should actually address it from the point of view of making the environment friendly for women to engage in the political process. And that has a lot to do with, you know, my own naira as a woman seems to have less value than that of a man. So he would actually be given the first consideration, and that doesn't have anything to do with basically male and female out there as gender, but on the level of, you know, when it comes to do with resources, determining who has what, when, and where, you find that the boys' brigade is at work, they easily align with themselves and they can talk to themselves. And basically, as a mother that we are, you don't have to, as a woman, you don't have to lose your femininity to get into the process. Because your femininity, you can throw in your femininity just like a man can throw in his masculinity into the process. And what you bring on the table will be very different from what a man brings on the table.
All right.
And at a point in time where what you bring to the table is what is needed, then sometimes you might even have an advantage. It is your ability to uncover that advantage, to swim against that tide, to be determined and be focused and say, you know what, this is where we are going. So I will encourage myself and also encourage every woman out there, especially those who are vying for seats in parliament, and anybody who is serious about increasing women's participation in politics should engage this process now before it's too late.
All right,
to have
Gloria,
the numbers we need
we're
in all the
gradually running out of time
across
so
the nation.
Let me quickly
we have just
ask
a few
you.
weeks to conclude that. If we miss that, I can assure you that we will also miss the line for appointed positions.
Well, gradually running out of time, so let me quickly ask you about your presidential candidate. Do you think he has what it takes to win the 2023 elections?
I'm surprised you're even asking that question. Out
Why
of
are you surprised?
all the presidential candidates, I don't think when I decided what party, what platform I wanted to take, I didn't hesitate when I approached the NNPP, and that was strictly because of the principle, the presidential candidates, you know, and that's because of his track record. Who better than he now in this kind of, we said we're going to try a general. We tried a general. Where are we today? He's been a defense minister. He's been a governor. He's been on the boards. He's been on the board of NDDC. He knows the South. He's been a civil servant for 17 years. He's been a senator. For God's sake, he has all that it takes. You don't go to the market and buy experience. I'm sorry. We cannot experiment with Nigeria. He's completely detribalized, and he took time to ensure that he consults with the Christian community before he chose a running mate. What else are we looking for? If we look at the blueprints that he brought out, he talked about setting up committees at the local level that will work in the 774 local government areas. He has a master plan. He's strong. He is energized. This is the time he has to serve his country. Several outings before now, he has had to do the give and take, even when he had this. The following His Excellency has dates back 35 years. But because he is a committed Nigerian who wants Nigeria to work, he's never been that desperate like it has to be only him. And even when people were like, he would want to insist that he should be the one to contest, he puts national consideration before his personal consideration over and over again, until a time like this when it is obvious that we need a change in Nigeria.
All right.
We need a change in direction. We need somebody who knows how to do what. This is the opportune time to have him to put things in place. He's young, he's vibrant, he has the qualifications, and I can't say more. It's, I can't say more, except people just don't want to own up to it. But the reality is that his credentials speak for itself, and he's the man we need to watch, and he's the man we need right now. Anybody who tries to underestimate that does that to his peril.
All right, thank you very much, Comrade Gloria Okoligwe. Sadly, we couldn't cover all of our discussion, but I'm sure we're going to bring you back on the program. Thank you very much for coming on Politics Tonight. She is the NNPP candidate for Abuja South Federal Constituency. Thank you so much for coming on Politics Tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.